Hey, thank you so much for clicking this video. I'm Matthew Msengati, the designer and developer. This is a series of videos where we are centered, series of videos that are centered around thinking like a YouTube engineer. So I'm just trying to get you from some sort of an entry point of coding and software development and try to some sort of elevate you or go with you step by step, sharing my own journey in this coding world and how I have some sort of managed to understand what I understand now. Now in this video we are going to go to topic number one, like the self-taught web developer journey. So in my case, I did a diploma in software development, but it was mainly a Windows-based application. Now, after I've graduated, obviously I wanted to come up with my few apps, trying to sell them, but most of them, people rejected the apps primarily for information security. And I think the other reason was Windows-based application, the interface was not interesting because it was drag and drop button. Obviously I've used some sort of, I'm not sure if it's a plug-in on Visual Studio. It was a Bonifu UI kind of a thing. Obviously it did play a role on making my user interface a little bit better, but the drag and drop kind of a thing, I didn't know how to some sort of use it on Visual Basic. I didn't know how to do that, so I had to learn like the web technology. And most companies were telling me that look, this happens all in the cloud, and also we arrange job in a Kanban system, meaning that these are the jobs that are being received, which are pending, and these are the jobs that we are currently busy with, and these are the jobs that we have finished. So your system doesn't really help. So as much as maybe on your case it might be different, you are new, like starting with development, so it's like we are not that different, because also I was once new in web development. One of the things that are a bit tough to learn or to master or to understand about web development is that it's not like on desktop application or working on an IDE where everything has been organized. For instance, if you are doing a Windows application, there is the user interface, the drag and drop kind of a thing. But now when it comes to the web, you are dealing with multiple layers and also multiple languages or scripts or scripting languages. For instance, number one, if we talk about the web technology, we are talking about HTML, something that you must learn. You are not just, it's not just simple, even though it's simple, but it's not that easy. So it's like you have to, it's a bit of a learning curve there. You must learn about HTML, and also you must learn about CSS, and then you must learn JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript, or you must learn like jQuery. So just for front end, you already got three in your hand, things that you have to learn, as compared to developing for Windows based application where there is everything, it's in place, you can just drag and drop. So those are the challenges with web application. So those three languages or mockup or scripting languages, they form part of the front end, and then you go to the some sort of a back end or the business application or the business logic. Maybe you can use PHP, but that's not that simple, because there are some things that you can't code from scratch, meaning that you have to use other libraries as well. You can't just code everything from scratch. So even though you might use one language, PHP, but it will come with other languages. And then we will have the database layer, where we involved SQL querying from the database. So let's just quickly do work on the statistics or some numbers. There is three languages or scripting languages on the front end. There is one which is PHP, and also there is the database management system. So in the web development industry, you are almost looking at five things. Obviously when you want to be a specialist, Like you can work on the front end, deal with some few things, and also be a PHP specialist, and also be some sort of a database specialist. That is possible. But if you are self-taught, like you want to know, most cases you are interested, you want to learn everything, but unfortunately you are not going to learn one program and then that's it. You will have to learn a lot of things. So that is the challenge with web design program. But however, it doesn't end there. So your journey, talking about number one, your journey as a self-taught developer. Number one, you are going to be introduced first to programming. What is programming? The downside of a self-taught, you are not going to be given the essence, as I've mentioned in the previous video, what programming or software development is. You start by jumping into work, like in the deep end, and then as you face a lot of problems and writing spaghetti code, getting lost in your own code, you will start to feel like, there is a better way to do this. Then that's where you will, as time goes by, you will some sort of gravitate towards the fundamentals of programming. So meaning that you will have to identify a problem before you step back and be like, what is the better way of doing this? Unfortunately, the unfortunate part of it, most of us don't even make it to that realization that there is a better way of doing this. For instance, like talking of the design pattern and solid principle, I've seen a lot of YouTube channel that doesn't apply those. Obviously there are some reason, but for me, as I was introduced into design pattern and solid principle, I was like, this is what I was looking for, because this is making my life easy, this is making my own code extensible, and also it's positioning me for employment. But obviously some other people, they just stay on that same level. So you start by diving deep into language specific syntax without learning the overall development. So meaning that, for instance, if you're interested in C#, YouTube or the internet or Googling or Stack Overflow, you will learn language specific technique, like for instance how to display a string on whatever language, on PHP or JavaScript, how to do this. So that's where you start on the how-to part. You are interested on how to, and at this stage, to be honest, this is more like a hobby. It's not something like you feel like you can be employed by. It's just interesting that you can type something and run it, and then maybe you will show your friend that, look at what I did, and they'll be like, what, did you do this? Yes. Okay. And that's it. So that is the entrance. And then as time goes by, you will like drive yourself into some sort of a maze of some sort, because the more you start to take coding seriously, the more you will some sort of get people who are going to ask you for solution. For instance, maybe you might tell your pastor that, hey pastor, look, this is what I'm learning, maybe it's WordPress or whatever, or this coding thing, and they will ask you, can you do a website for me? Obviously you said, yes I can, because you know that you are going to learn from YouTube or whatever. Or can you code a website from scratch, because I don't want to use WordPress? Obviously you are going to jump into that opportunity. Then that's where you will start to realize that you are writing a spaghetti code, meaning that your code is coupled together. For instance, in your HTML page, there is also JavaScript there, and also in most cases there is PHP, a lot of PHP and HTML, and without realizing that there is something called an MVC pattern, which will help you on the separation of concern. It's possible to write an HTML separately and build your own controllers and build your own model, so that when there's a problem you can just go to a specific place, and that will also help you with extensibility. And also when you are working on the user interface, you might not affect the controllers and the model. So that's where now on your journey as a self-taught web developer, you will start to get lost in your own thinking, in your own code. And also it's not easy to make changes, because the pastor will be like, okay fine, can you please go to your JavaScript and edit this for me, I want to quickly. And then you are like, hey, now it's starting to take time for you to keep up with changes. So the next stage after that, it's you will grow a desire to be a pro, or at least to write a decent code, a code that is not foreign even to you, a code that even somebody else can come and trace it and see how it works. And then that's where some different schools of thought will pop in. For instance, you will be introduced to the try principle, you will be introduced to a clean code, you will be introduced to design pattern, you will be introduced to singletons, MVC framework, and also you'll be introduced to other like PHP MVC framework like Laravel and CodeIgniter. And then that's where a call for being a better developer will start. So depending on your thought process and what can I say, how you see the world and the problems that you are solving as a freelancer, you might make it to becoming at least a professional developer or a decent one, or you might not make it. It depends on you. So that's what differs from varsity and self-taught. In varsity, you go through those things and you are forced in a way to do those tasks because you are here for 3 years and you've left home with an intention to study. So there is no way that you might think that is this necessary. But when you are teaching yourself to code, to be honest, you really, number one, you are not sure of the overall outcome, how this thing is supposed to be. So that's why there is this series, think like a YouTube engineer, some sort of to give you some sort of a guide as to where to channel your own thought process and also what to take and what to ignore. So you might make it, you might not make it. You might be a decent developer, you might not be a decent developer, depending on your own will and your own thought process and your own consciousness and the problems that you are dealing with. If you are dealing with some sort of, let's say, small problems or problems that don't matter to the client. What do I mean by about problem that doesn't matter to the client? These are problems that you are solving yourself as a hobby. There is no deadline, there is no expectation, there is no client to always phone you and push you and shout at you. There are no challenges, then you might not make it there. But as soon as you take projects, and then you will start to realize that there is a better way to do this, and that better way calls you to a certain advanced level of planning. So now you are start to move away from being a coder to be more like a developer, meaning that you will be introduced into planning. Before you get into an application, you need to understand what is it, depending on a certain paradigm that we have adapted in programming, be it object-oriented programming, be it functional programming, or be it procedural programming. But now you are going to have some sort of a planning before you get into the project, and believe me, it works. Every time when I just jump straight into code, I waste a lot of time and I got lost in my own code. But when I pull back a little bit, relax, and draw diagram, I draw my UML diagram, work on my OOAD, object-oriented analysis and design, trying to understand what is it that I'm supposed to do, and also trying to break the problem down into small pieces before I code. Things were better for me. It's unfortunately that we all learn that the hard way. There must be a project that you are going to fail or mess up, or you are going to lose, and there must be that client that you are going to lose before you wake up. Now, it's very sad that it happens that way. Obviously, those are the things that comes with being an entrepreneur or hustler or whatever you call it, but a freelancer. All the informal way of learning, it comes with those disadvantages. Otherwise, for me, that is it in terms of the roadmap. Obviously, after that, you will start to be comfortable with your own skills, and then you will start to take more project. Maybe as time goes by, there might be some sort of a vacancy in open somewhere, and you will apply, and you might be considered. So taking it from me, in my graphic design career, I never went to school for it, and I've been like working in different printing industries, design agencies, and I never felt like maybe I am supposed to have a diploma or a degree or whatever in graphic design. Also, that happens for software development. As long as you can prove, you can convince you've got project, chances are you might be hired as a developer and get paid a decent salary. So guys, that is it for the roadmap. If you're new in this channel, I'm Matthew Msengati, the designer and developer. I specialize in concept that simple, easy to understand. I am pragmatic. I like to take things by their validity of being practical, or like to validate things according to what they can do instead of sitting there and theorizing. So, and also in this channel I want to help you and help me and you becoming better developers. If you are new, please do me a favor, just hit that subscribe button for more concept and simplicity. Thank you so much. See you on the next one.